something bad to us, we are going to do things to you that have never been done before.
We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route to do. We the people are free. And I hope we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited.
Hey folks, how are you? I hope you're having a pretty good sort of a Thursday. Mine has been, well, it's had its moments, but nothing terribly destructive or bad, although came across what looked to be quite a tragic car accident. And when I came across it again on my way back, it looked like it was a very, very tragic accident because the people who measure road scenes, accident scenes were there. So I don't know if anybody around here was particularly involved in that, but if you were, thoughts and prayers to the families involved. I'm dropping stuff here left and right and centre, and it's a very important thing I dropped, so I've got to pick it up. So, yeah, that was a bit of a shock for the start of the day. I've inherited a dog. You'll be familiar with him. His name is Kobe. And right now he seems quite happy cuddled up on the couch with a rug over him. It's a bit chilly in our part of the world, which leads me to beautifully into getting yourself a warm hoodie, I would have thought. This time of year, it's getting a bit chilly. In fact, I was talking to One Eye, Skipper Pete from Ingham this morning, very early this morning. Pardon me. And he was telling me that this morning it was 11 degrees in Ingham. Now, that's almost freezing for folks up that far north. Very, very, very chilly indeed, and has been for a little while. So he's thinking about getting himself a wind cheater. They don't have much call for them up there by and large, but maybe you'll get one. Or one of our T-shirts. I mean, we do have some new T-shirts out too, and if you've ever thought Australia wasn't the land of the fee, then, well, you're wrong. You've obviously not had a rates bill. You've not had a fine for breathing or walking or driving or doing anything else. So you've never built anything or wanted to build anything. You've never needed council. Have you ever wanted to put a pool in? Folks, I have had some recent experience with pools and councils. Can I tell you? The level of... I hesitate to call it stupidity. I'm just going to call it bureaucracy. And the kind of person that gets that job is just someone who reads whatever the legislation says and does not deviate from that. Even though when faced with a contradictory situation, a situation that would... if you've ever tried to get a pool fence sorted, you'll know what I'm talking about. I defy any council anywhere to explain to me how anybody, anywhere, anyhow, could use a piece of plastic lattice. And when I say plastic, I mean soft plastic. And in Queensland's heat, it just sags softer, hanging on the inside of a pool fence that is 9 feet high, because it's actually a property fence, or 8 feet high, whatever it is, and used as a screen on the inside of the fence, not on the outside. How can somebody on the outside use that little piece of plastic to climb over said pool fence? I have no idea. And I would like to see someone try. I would really like council to come and prove to me that somebody could get in using a piece of extremely soft, and I'm sure you've seen it. It's a kind of really cheap shit that you can buy in like the reject shop that looks like a bit of green lattice work, but it's just plastic. No. I would also like them to explain to me how someone would be able to use the 100 millimeter gap in under a fence, under a gate. I want to see what child or human could get through a 100 millimeter by, let's be generous and call it 100 millimeter gap under a fence. It wouldn't be, it'd be 50 or 100 or 80. But explain to me how, show me, demonstrate to me how someone can break through. I mean, I know they're there for a reason. Backyard drownings are a thing, you know, and particularly now that we've got so many non-swimmers coming into the country, and my God, don't we have them coming in huge numbers? So yes, when you know, little Raj or little Rajit next door get a bit envious of the next door neighbour's pool because mum and dad have, you know, lived in, you know, some sandpit in India for their whole lives, and they're quite used to the heat, but the kids are a bit envious of the pool next door. And so what do kids do? Well, you know, they sneak out, they pop over fences, they make friends with the kids next door if there are any. And next thing you know, you got one bobbing around in the pool like a poo in a pond. It's a very unhappy look. So I understand the need for pool fences. But abject stupidity surrounding the laws and pool fencing aside, I would like council to be able to prove, and the bureaucrats, not the council are just appointed people who think they're going to do something good for their community when they get in, I think, initially. And then they run into the bloke that runs the council, the CEO. And he runs everybody in the council, except the councillors. He just supplies the mail to the councillors and asks them to make decisions, supposedly. It gets a bit burdened. Anyway, I'm bleating on about things I probably shouldn't be, so I shall stop. Who was first in tonight? The lovely Aussie Sue. I trust all things are settled in your part of the world. A little cold out on the island too, I imagine. What is it here at the moment? 15 degrees where I am, so I would go so far as to suggest it's probably at least 3 or 4 degrees lower in your part of the world. It's always colder on islands for some reason. Russell Island, beautiful part of the world. If you've never been into Moreton Island, beg your pardon, Moreton Bay, one of the many islands in there. And I highly recommend that if you've got nothing to do in Brisbane and you're looking for a relatively cheap tour of the bay, you should go and grab an island hopper. Get down to Cleveland, hop on one of those boats that skips around all the islands, drops people off and comes back again. It's well worth having a look at the bay on a nice day. And thank you, Aussie Sue, for always remembering to post that. So yes, folks, please always, if you can, give us the thumbs up. It does help the algorithm. If you're watching this after we've put it out live, then please put a comment in, and hello to those folks I've been talking to recently. And yeah, notifications. I'm starting to think that notifications might be coming a bit more regularly. There have been some significant background changes at UTurd, I think, because things I would ordinarily cop warnings for, things that, like last night's show, for instance, not a murmur. So there is also some other changes in the analytics, which I'm not smart enough to quite figure out, so I won't really talk about them. I might be making things up. But I'm hopeful that they're freeing up the suppression that has been on the site for a while. And that's evidenced by the fact that in the last few days, when I've put out a call for new subscribers, so if you're not subscribed, please go and click on the subscribe button right now, folks. We're trying to hit a mark. We're really close to it. And that's sort of what Vince and I have been encouraged about. Ordinarily, it would take somewhere in the vicinity of 1,000 of your likes to give me one like. It would take 1,000 of your subscribes to give me one subscriber. Or it was over that, actually. We measured that. A mate of mine did that one night with a whole bunch of his university students. So it was staggering to see the suppression that went on while we were trying to build this site. And we know a lot more people watch it than are subscribed to it. And thank you very much for spending your time with us. Would that help if I brought the microphone a bit closer? I need new glasses, you see. Having a bit of a hard time seeing at the moment. These ones particularly, not that I'm shy, but these ones particularly have a few, don't know if you can see that or not, but there are some bad issues. Oh, I don't know what's going on there. My screen seems to have gone weird, and I'm dropping things, dragging things. Yeah, so my glasses are not exactly... And you know what they're like? You've got to get them in the right place before you can actually see anything. So I apologize. Let's go back to who's in the room. Like and subscribe if you will, folks. Subscriptions really do help the algorithm. And if you don't want the notifications, just switch them off. In my case, you probably won't get them anyway, because that's been the other part of the submission. But I did notice that I got one today, and I did get one yesterday. I got one the day I set the show up really early, about 2 o'clock. That's came through, I think, about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So I got one then on one of my phones. So we'll see how it is. The lovely Michelle Bradley Smith is in. G'day, Stu. Hope you're well. What were your thoughts last night, folks, on the show last night? I'm very keen to get your opinions. I've had an email chat with Rachel again today. In fact, I want to quote Rachel, if I may, to you. Let me just find the bloody email. I won't quote the whole email, but she said, it was lovely to meet you all and have a chat yesterday. And some of you decided to sign up for her course, which is great. Those of you who are thinking maybe August, I'll be in that one. I'm very keen to see what's involved. Anyway, she goes on to thank me again for sharing the info on the channel. And she said that she read through most of the stream comments as well as other comments last night. And her quote here is, "You have a very switched on, loving community there." I can't begin to tell you how proud that makes me. Thank you for being you. This community is very powerful and very strong. And now we've been able to incorporate the Rumble viewers into it, who for a long time we haven't seen your comments, and a lot of you have come over to the YouTube so that you can comment or whatever. Well, now you don't have to, and if you choose to be on the Rumble side of things, then that's all good too. If you want to stay on Facebook, that's all good too. But the YouTube channels seem to be working as well, so everybody should be getting a say about now, I hope. So I'm so grateful for our moderators, Aussie Sue, Michelle, obviously, and the wonderful Sunflower, who do just a beautiful job of keeping the trolls out. And you're very tolerant. I mean, everybody understands that I'm not against criticism. I don't mind being criticized. But some of the trolls, it's not about criticizing. It's about belittling, or it's about humiliating, or it's about trying to be showing their smarts against mine, I guess. Nobody cares. I don't care. I don't think any of you care. And I think that's why we aren't populated with trolls, because we've made it quite clear we're just not going to put up with that bullshit. If you want to go and play that game, there are plenty of other people you can go and play that game with who will bite back. But we have such a warm community here who I know helps each other, not just by being here every night, fingers crossed when I'm around every night, but I know outside of this program, many of you have caught up. You've met, you've made friends, you're having interactions, and in some cases you are helping each other. And that's wonderful. It's such a beautiful family that we have here, and I'm so pleased that Rachel found that last night, found that warmth. So much so that she's agreed to come back and do more here on The Voice of Freedom. And I think you might find that she and Cass will get together and do a couple more shows, potentially through here, but they might also be on FBN, which leads me to Vince, who is also another moderator here, but he is so much more. So along with all of you guys, I am immensely thankful for Vince and the work that he puts in unpaid all the time. And he does a lot of work for me because I'm a bit of a numpty. So, he helps me, and it's very, very important that he does help me because I am such a numpty with certain things. To have a man with his skills and his temperament, his demeanor around me has been a boon in my life, and I consider him one of my closest friends. So I am thankful for all of you, and I'd just like to put a cherry on top for Vince. I know he's probably not watching tonight; he's got other things on. So, Mr. Bill, God, thank you, mate. Thank you very much for the super sticker. Is it stickers or super chats or whatever they call it? Super chat does work again now these days, folks. So if you want to be guaranteed of asking and me seeing a question, that's probably a good way of doing it. It flags a big thing here. Stu, good to see you're out and about, mate. Life's kicking. I hope the hound goes well. We might see a few videos of the one I'm babysitting. Oh, he's not. He's dead to the world at the moment, so he's not coming over to sit on my knee. DM, g'day, Paul. Nice to have you in live. The Zabinator has boom alakazammed his way in. The lovely Kathy, g'day, Pete. I hope life is good in Pinnaru. And Johanna, g'day, Alan. Hope you are doing well. I think I missed out Connie and Alan last night. That was a bit rude of me. I'm not sure if they're in tonight, but hello, Connie and Alan. Tony, my beautiful man, how are you? I hope you're well. I know where you are. You're going to be bloody cold. So rug up, brother. Rug up, or get yourself a hoodie, and get yourself a hoodie is probably a good way of doing it. The website for our merch, just in case you missed it, is merch.vofhq.com. I know it's a bit weird, isn't it? Well, that's why you have events. It stands out. merch.vofhq.com. And we've got all sizes, got just about every color, including all of the ones in the rainbow, but we don't offer a rainbow shirt for pretty obvious reasons, as you would imagine. Paul, you've built 2 sheds without annoying council for their approval. God love you. That's very, very good. I can't tell you what we built. I will one day. G'day, Ian. G'day, Andrew. I'm going to get myself in trouble if I talk about that. All right, Pete, what's going on here? If we're selling a house with a pool or a pond, fill it with sand and then cap with 10 mil of concrete. Bulker bags would aid it in lifting it out later. You're quite right. 10 mil of concrete you can break up with a hammer. Yeah. Not that we're suggesting you do anything illegal, folks. And that particular situation wouldn't work for where we are, unfortunately. It's one of those sort of above-groundy kind of... This is how stupid it is. This pool has an electric lid, comes down, shuts it down. You can't lift it up without the key. Needs to be unlocked, turned up, motorized. Ridiculous. But I know. Got to get that 100 mil. Got to get that little bit of plastic off the fence because somebody might climb that. Forget that we live on a property. The only things that would climb it, would be interested in climate, wouldn't climb it. They'd jump over it. We've got a few kangaroos around here lately, and we've got a beautiful mother wallaby with a joey in the pouch that hasn't come out yet. And she hangs out the bus here about dawn every morning. So I got her some special food today. So with a bit of luck, I might be able to get some pictures. I'll stick a GoPro out there in the morning and see whether or not we can get something. G'day, J1. Yes, I've had a few comments today about that. Cass is very invested in FBN, very invested in helping the freedom movement and being part of what we do. She's in a position now where, well, she's going on holidays. So she will be able to get a bit of a rest, come back, I think, fully charged and ready to go. And I wasn't joking last night. Any of you who've ever had any dealings with Cass when it comes to your superannuation or any other real estate or whatever other sort of businesses that she's been part of and you've needed, you will know that Cass is a warrior, a fierce warrior. And you're going to see a lot more of that, I think. I hope. The battles that they fight, those 2 ladies and others, are immense. And we need to share that fight. And we need to help those who've been through it. That's where we feel driven. I've been driven to helping abuse victims all my life for whatever reason. I've never really known why. And what help I've been is probably debatable. But I haven't been the abuser. Well, at least not of those people. I may have abused the abuser a bit. Maybe a bit more than a bit. But I don't do that anymore. Just saying. Shit, I'm talking. Anyway, watch this space. There's going to be some interesting things coming up in the future. And we can't do it without your support. That's why I'm talking, hoodies and T-shirts. We do need help. We do need financial support. We do need voices to join us. We need strong people with a story to tell. Now, maybe you don't want to be a presenter. Maybe you don't want to be, anything at all. But maybe your story is important, or you feel your story is important to be told, to warn others. I've been contacted by somebody already who watched the show last night. And from that, they believe that some of the memories that they have, which they've been doubting themselves, you heard us talk about it last night, the fake memory syndrome. She now feels very encouraged to speak more about this and has reached out. So there is help available. Rachel obviously is extremely skilled. And there are others. And we will make sure that if you need that help, you will get it. Nobody should be made to suffer through what you've been through, ever. And the only way that will never happen again is that we do not stop hearing it. We do not turn away from seeing it. We do not shy away from it in any way. And that's sometimes uncomfortable and difficult to hear, particularly details. But it is through hearing those details that the fire will start in you. Hopefully, for those that are too dead to get it any other way, you shouldn't need this kind of fire starter to protect our children from pedophiles, from Satanists. You shouldn't need this. But you don't. The rest of them out there that are watching a current affair or watching the state of origin or watching some piece of bullshit about how NATO are going to be the world's greatest, most dominant power in the world as long as Russia doesn't fire anything back at us. Because that's what they're going to tell you. Oh, and they'll also tell you that things are going quite well in Israel and Gaza. Don't worry about that. Look the other way. We need to reach those people watching those shows. And I'm sure more and more and more of them are waking up every day. Even slightly. There is so many things being put forward by these governments, not just here, but around the world. But Australia particularly, Victoria especially, putting through new legislation, new ways to put another fee or raise the fee they already are taking from us. I believe that the Victorian government has backed down somewhat from their fire levy. Somebody has told me that the farmers are now exempt from it, which I think is great. However, what about everybody else? I mean, seriously, what you are doing, and I remember the days when Jeff Kennett saved the state by putting, it was a $100 levy on every house you owned. Now, if you owned one house, you paid an extra $100 for, I think it was 3 years in your rates or in your taxes, whatever it worked out at. Now, if you owned 3 houses, you paid $300. If you owned 10, you paid $1,000. It wasn't unreasonable. But that was Victoria's future fund, or get out of the debt fund, that the state was left in after the previous Labor government, who I want to say was John Cain and I think there was another bloke in there too. I can't remember his name. Anyway, they left the state in an absolutely deplorable way. I remember leaving Victoria, Joan Kerner, another bloke. They left the state in a deplorable way. The roads, you could barely drive on them. The councils couldn't get money from anywhere to fix the roads. So the roads just were falling apart. Does that sound familiar, Victorians? The last time I drove across Victoria and got off the Hume and cut across over to Bendigo, St Arnaud and over to Horsham, it rattled the shit out of the old girls so badly I lost my lights again. Now, the potholes that I've seen in Victoria are staggering. Is the council not getting money from the state government anymore? And what sort of a levy are they taking? God knows they've got so many different taxes and fees on Victorians, and they're screwing it down ever tighter. I got some wonderful friends that live in Victoria, and I've asked a number of them, if you could get out tomorrow, would you? If there wasn't, a mortgage or a whatever to stop you, would you get out? Yes, in a heartbeat. They're all looking to escape. If they could get out, they would. Would they come to Queensland? Well, no, some of them don't like the heat. I know none of them will go to Western Australia because none of them like the tyranny that's going on there either. And I guess it's peekaboo state for, pick your tyranny, really. New South Wales, Queensland, even Tasmania has a fair bit of that. Ask Martin Bryant. I should recommend to you the WASP files on YouTube. If you would like to get a very, very, very in-depth, independent look at what happened at the Port Arthur massacre, I commend the WASP files, W-A-S-P files, to you. Australian bloke, I'm going to try and get him on the show for a chat, as I am trying to get Madison King. Madison, I don't know, it's difficult. I've got no real way of approaching her. I don't know anybody who knows her, and I don't have a phone number. So if you know her, please reach out. Tell her I'd love to be in touch. I've sent messages through the Kimberley Bush Superfoods Company. I've reached out on TokTak. I've reached out on Anster Twat and all the other things. But I imagine that she gets quite inundated with people, as I do. So it's easy to get lost in all of that. So if you do happen to have a way of getting to Madison, she is fired up. I'm really keen to figure out why she's so fired up now. And I think I probably know the answer, given the way that she's been discussing Mr. Rennick. I suppose he is senator, isn't he, for another few days, end of the month. Oh, no, I didn't hear this. Did you hear Watson Transport's closing down? Yeah, the planned destruction of Australia. Well, listen, that sort of leads me into one of the first things I was going to talk about on the show tonight, and I'll just skip right down to the bottom of the chats rather than keep going, because this does lead into it very nicely. Yep. Now, the memes have been out for a little while. However, the joke in all that is that Australian companies like Watson's are going down the gurgler. How are they going down the gurgler? Well, we are getting a whole bunch of imported drivers who are getting fast-tracked through a licensing program, and then they are being put in charge of some of the biggest trucks on planet Earth. And what do they do with them? They park them. Or they don't. I've got photos, I should have loaded them up, of an Indian guy. I've actually got video of him getting out of his truck and claiming that there was nothing wrong when he'd wiped out the entire 3 sets of tyres on his rear B trailer when he pulled in. I think it was in Bogabilla, somewhere along the Newell. He'd collected something and dragged and burst 6 tyres, wrecked 3 rims or 6 rims, and dragged it for hundreds of Ks. And you could tell it had been dragged for a long, long way. And he planned on keeping on dragging it. It wasn't until it was actually the truckies called the cops on him. So this is happening all over the country. The joke is you get a Slurpee. Oh, well, we won't go into the Slurpees. Talk on the CB, and I tell you how close I am to the CB. Here it is, right here. The talk on the CB when I'm on the road, and I still have it on when I'm sitting in here, is of these Indian drivers and their lack of ability. We are not being racist. It is driver ability. I've got professional drivers. Now, some of you may look down your nose at people who drive trucks for a living. It's a hard job. The people who do it generally, by and large, love doing it, love driving. They pride themselves on being able to handle 60, 80, 120 ton and not kill anybody. Be able to back it with pinprick accuracy and not put a scratch on it. These are professional drivers. Instead, our market is being flooded with people who are very enamored with driving big trucks. They've never driven anything that was articulated, because I don't think there's a road in India that can handle something articulated. I might be exaggerating. But by and large, most of them come over here with a little bit of flatbed experience, and they do like to colorize their trucks in India, and I have seen it done here in Melbourne and in Sydney, where you've got these mobile bloody curtain shops driving along. It's ridiculous and very distracting. So God knows what it must be like inside, although I guess it keeps the flies away. Just saying. So our drivers are losing their jobs hand over fist. There's another mob just down the road here from me in Yatala. They put a big announcement out on Facebook. I want to say it was yesterday or the day before. Family-owned business, B-double, desperate for work, going anywhere, desperate for work, going anywhere. Why are these businesses going under? Well, it appears that a lot of these Indian drivers, because I've been looking into this, as have others, and I would like to thank, I'm not sure if he wants me to tell you his name, but he knows who he is. I would like to thank a mate of mine who's been helping me dig into this, who has a bit more knowledge in the trucking game. What appears to be happening is the Australian government has given incentives to people who want to be truck drivers of our trucks, and they've got some beautiful pictures of some of our biggest road trains, particularly. And God help us if we've got Guptas driving road trains. B-doubles are bad enough. But I'm not saying not all of them can drive. I'm just saying the majority I've seen, not good. I nearly hit one today. He had no idea what he was doing, driving up a freeway, and it didn't have lines on it for a portion. And he just started driving over in front of me. Had no concept of what he was doing. None. I guess it's easy, but there are those little flappy things in the middle. Anyway, the level of danger is staggering. I'm reliably, I'll say reliably, but I didn't see it, so this is all third-hand information. You might remember there've been some large accidents recently on the Nullarbor and on the highway stretching, particularly between Melbourne and Perth. There was another one in Adelaide. I want to say it was yesterday or the day before. That accident, I think it was coming into Adelaide, wasn't, well, at least the driver taken to hospital wasn't an Indian driver, an import. He was a 77-year-old gentleman with a long and distinguished driving career. Don't actually know the ins and outs of what happened with that, so I'm not casting aspersions. However, you might recall not long ago there were two B-doubles collected head-on. That would be a closing speed of 200 kilometres an hour. One of those trucks was manned by a couple of Indian drivers. There was evidence of that scene, and there has been this evidence exposed through the trucking industry in various different ways, that these Indians do not stop unless there is a reason to, like they need to have fuel, not food, only if the truck needs fuel. Now, these days, it is possible to fuel a truck in Perth and drive it to Sydney non-stop, and vice versa. It's very likely, in fact, that that's exactly what they were doing. These long-haul things carry a lot of fuel, and they can go a long way. So they don't stop. That means that the two drivers that are inside and they're allowed to drive 5.5 hours each a couple of times, and then they've got meant to have a rest break and all this other thing. You can only drive a certain amount of hours before you have to have like 24 hours off. Well, if you've got a couple of drivers and you're not stopping, you can go an awful long way in a relatively short period of time on the road. And that's exactly what they do. How do they stop to go to the toilet, Carl? Well, they don't stop to go to the toilet. And no, they don't have toilets in the trucks. That's where the Slurpee comes in. However, at particularly one particular accident site, it was discovered that they had been using a Bunnings bucket as their toilet, and that was placed somewhere in the back in the sleeper cab area. I guess they figured that because the lid came off it during the accident and everybody got covered in shit as well, I'm guessing. But these are what we are dealing with. I think I've mentioned here before the story of pulling an Indian out of the back of a taxi at the casino one night. We didn't do it. The taxi inspectorate did, which was lovely to see. But nobody could use the boot of the car of that taxi, or boot of that taxi, because there was another driver asleep in it while the other one drove around. Only one of them had a license too, which was interesting. These are the kinds of things. Now, we are importing people who, and I'm not having a go at them. This is the culture they've come from, where there's a billion of them, over 1 billion Indians there. Who the hell wouldn't want to get out? And most of them are beyond poor. So everybody rips everybody off just a little bit. All right. And everybody just gets that little bit better out of it. That's pretty much how I see the culture as working. Everybody robs everybody, and it's just accepted. It's just what's done so that we can all get a little bit ahead. But when you take that mindset and that learned behavior and you place it in Sydney or Melbourne or worse, in outback Australia, then you're going to find a culture clash. And it's not going to be friendly. It's not going to be welcoming. Now, I have found, by and large, Indian people to be lovely, wonderful, welcoming, wonderful people who, when they come to this nation, understand how lucky they are. And yet, when you ask them, why did you come here? Australia gave us an incentive to come. Oh, okay, so you're going to be naturalised? Oh, yes, we're Australian citizens. Great. So if Australia was to go to war and India was on the other side of that war, maybe fighting with Russia, where would your loyalties lie? Oh, with India. Without hesitation, every time. Now, that's just India. Let's not go into the Africans. But I came across an interview today with President Ibrahim Traore from, that weird little country in Africa. He's a 30-something-year-old ex-military guy who has taken control of his country and is going around the world making very bold statements about how Africa is now standing up and going to fight back. Now, I received a link to a video that's a couple of days old now, a speech. It is an immensely powerful speech. I've watched about, I've got about 10 minutes left, so it's a half-hour speech. 15 minutes into it, I was going to play the whole thing for you tonight. But instead of doing that, I'm going to take out some of the salient bits from it and give them to you tomorrow. What this man is saying is what every national leader should be saying. This man is letting the IMF know and all other central bank controlled apparatus that not only has he and his small nation had enough, but he is empowering other nations inside Africa to rise up. He is naming the theft, the gold, the diamonds, the minerals, and he is naming the thieves, the central banks, the IMF. In the course of watching all of this, I did start to wonder whether or not I was watching an AI. So certainly the video leads itself, particularly the audio, leads itself for me to believe that this is an AI generation. However, you cannot argue with what's being said. So if you haven't seen it already, in fact, I'll copy it here because rather than me cutting it up, I think you will enjoy reading it, watching it. It is a very powerful speech, and if we had someone like that in this country, I would follow them immediately. So I've just posted that up in there. For those of you who can't see that in the chat, what I'm talking about, if you go to YouTube and type in President Ibrahim Traore, Traores, Traore's bold speech to the IMF, it'll pop up. It's on a channel called Black Rebellion. Now, I caution you that it might be AI. The audio has been altered significantly, but I'm not sure if that's because of what these people have done in the edit. And it is edited, it is cut. It's not a 30-minute uncut speech. So take that part of it as you will. But what he is saying is exactly what people need to hear. And someone needs to stand up and say in this country, one of these elected politicians that didn't make it into office this time round. I'm not talking about Rennick. I'm talking about, I don't know, Malcolm Roberts, maybe. Pauline Hanson seems to be making a lot of noise at the moment about we the people. I'll be interested to see what happens with that. Pauline was for we the people before the election, and then just prior to the election, she changed to being not quite as much for the people again. Speaking about coalition things, the coalition has apparently abandoned their election promise to cut immigration by 100,000. And whoever that blonde woman is has got a red dot on her head. Thank you. How nice. I am being facetious. I know who the blonde woman is. I just haven't thought up a name other than the blonde-headed clown. Because the red-headed clown was taken by that other twat a few years back. But can't be... no, don't get me started. If I was going to get started on politics, we'd be in all sorts of shit trouble. We are once again being encouraged, dear friends, to throw ourselves into the great pandemic. There is a new one coming, but oops, I've hit the wrong button. That one. So there is a new version of this bullshit story coming out again. And look, I have no doubt people are getting sick. People will get the cold. And if you've already been slapped in the arm with the jab of shit, then every chance you're going to get a lot sicker. That's my bet. But those of us who have protected ourselves, inoculated our brain against stupidity and brainwashing, will resist again. And I believe this time our numbers will be much larger, much larger. Will it help? I don't know, because there are so many people walking around our community today who would have yelled, screamed, and called the authorities on us for not wearing a mask. But today it seems they need to put up signs to stop us asking them why they're wearing a mask today. Now, thank you to my mate, Mason, on the sunny coast for this. He was in a X-ray place today. And this sign is up there. Your safety and the safety of our staff is our priority. Wearing a mask is not currently a mandatory requirement for the general community. Some staff are wearing a mask because they cannot maintain physical distancing while performing examinations or for personal reasons. Oh. We encourage patients to wear a mask if you prefer and ask that you are respectful of the decisions of other persons regarding their health and well-being. You bastards. I mean, bastards. Respect me. I'm wearing a mask. Respect me. Respect my choice. It is my choice. It's my choice to wear a mask. It was my choice not to wear a mask, and it wasn't my choice to be ridiculed, abused, cajoled. But if you choose to wear a mask, oh, don't ask us why. Don't laugh. Don't say, oh, you believe that shit, do you? Oh, God, pathetic. Isn't it? It's just a great way they turn it around on us, though. Horrible, horrible, horrible people. Here's something that you might find a little interesting in the world. Actuaries are what the insurance business uses to figure out how much they're going to charge you in insurance fees next time you want to insure the house or reinsure your property. Now, check out your exclusions, if you will, please. These are new, as you can see at the top. Exclusions A8 is deleted and replaced by. I'm more interested in B, electromagnetic or solar disturbances. They do not insure for any loss caused directly or indirectly by electromagnetic disturbances. This could be something that's happened with the sun, solar radiation, solar flares, or solar rays. Such loss is excluded regardless of any other cause or event contributing concurrently or in any sequence to the loss. This exclusion applies whether or not there was any widespread damage and whether or not it was caused by human activity or an act of nature. Oh, my lordy me. If you're not already checking out those things, folks, you need to be checking them out. Next time your insurance comes around, don't just rubber stamp it. Investigate it. See what they're changing, because every policy is changing. And it's not because, they're losing money. It's quite apparent they are not. I'll say that again loudly. They are not losing money. They are making a shit ton of money. And I Well, all they want to do is take more from you. That's all they want to do. I'm trying to find a video that I captured here the other day. There it is. Let's see whether or not I can share this with you. Might take me a moment to spin this up, considering that we're speaking about solar activity. Now, oh God, I've hit a wrong button. Anything's possible now. And it's thinking, so it's never good when it thinks. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Oh, I think it stopped it. All right. I took this little bit of video the other day. You may have heard that we have a solar, or had a solar flare. This has been in conjunction with a lot of the earthquakes that have been happening and the volcanoes releasing. This is what that flare looked like as it hit the Earth a few days ago. Now, we are still being pounded by that electrical force. I'll just bring it back and try and play it again. And you can see that it has significant impacts on us. And we're talking about, showing there the landslides and the slips and associated other bits and pieces there. Now, it's a dangerous thing. And if you are in the CB world or in the ham radio community world, you'll know all about it because your radios probably haven't been working for the last few days. That solar wind, which I'll play again for you, it's only very quick. That solar wind is very, very powerful. The blast that came out of the sun was aimed directly at us. Fortunately for us, it's not the kind of radiation that was going to do us immense damage, but it has done a fair bit to the globe. It has maybe triggered or at least set some things in motion with our tectonic plates. And obviously there is a lot of evidence of that around the scenic rim, the rim of fire, the Pacific Ring of Fire, and the horseshoe of fire, as they're now calling it, in the Mediterranean, where it looks like 4 volcanoes and 24 underground volcanoes filling with magma. So Europe, I don't know whether it's going to be Russia blowing it up, Ukraine blowing it up, or bloody volcanoes blowing it up and earthquakes. This way, it's a 50-50 bet, I suggest. Putin has been on the phone to Donald Trump. He's said, hey, listen, these little bastards over the bridge, they've come over here, they've blown up a third of my bomber fleet, and they've blown up the bridge between Crimea and us. We're not happy. We are going to have to retaliate. And Donald Trump said, bloody oath you do. I would be. So last night, just as the show went to air raid sirens were ringing out in Ukraine. Everywhere in Ukraine. Everywhere. Air raid signals everywhere in Ukraine. We didn't wake up this morning with any great news of decimation. Putin has a problem. The attacks that happened on his 4 bases, I think it was in Russia, and the attack that happened on the Kursk bridge didn't really kill anybody. They did a lot of damage to equipment, but by and large, all the airmen were inside. Nobody was sitting in those planes. So if somebody got killed there, it was because they were standing too close to them when the drones came over and landed, because that's what's happened. The drones have flown in and been landed on those wings and detonated from there. You don't have to blow the entire plane up. You just have to make it unflyable and make it very costly to repair. And those T-22s and the T-95s are pretty costly to repair. It's billions of dollars worth of infrastructure that was blown up on runways. And then they go and blow up the only viable path, road transport path between Crimea and Russia again. This time at a much deeper level. Does anybody believe, seriously, that Ukraine did this? Oh, it's been planned for 18 months. They could have 18 years. They couldn't have planned that. They couldn't have funded that. They couldn't have found the drones for it. They couldn't have found the pilots for it. And they certainly couldn't have got them across the border. So what is Putin to do? If he hits infrastructure, he's going to kill service people, servicemen and women, probably Ukrainian, but there's probably a reasonable potential for British, French, German, and American trainers to be killed as well. Putin's already hit a number of Patriot missile sites, a number of HIMARS sites, and I believe a couple of supposed drone factories in Ukraine. But how does he retaliate on an infrastructure strike that didn't really kill too many Russians without killing a whole heap of innocent Ukrainians? Or will he care? Does it matter? I don't know. I don't think it does. I think Russia will exact a heavy toll for what's been done to them, and I think rightly so. I think the toll that should be extracted is probably not the one that will be, but it would be the most effective to the world. And that would be for a Russian Spetsnaz team to go in and snatch Zelensky and put him at the table in Moscow with Putin. Snatch him. Put him at the table in chains. Then see what happens. I wonder how strong NATO would be then. I wonder what sort of intestinal fortitude they would have then. NATO, the evil forces of the world, united. God, don't we love them. You happen to know that there's a Rothschild Island down in Antarctica? Found that the other day too. Thought it was rather interesting. So yeah, they are everywhere. And that Rothschild Island, if you do a little bit of research about it, it's not really an island at all. And if you get on Google Earth, I did have a look yesterday. If you get on Google Earth, you might remember a show I did a couple of years ago where we looked at some of those strange lines that never happen in nature. Strange lines, straight lines cannot happen in nature. And yet under our ocean floor, we seem to have a lot of strange straight lines. Some of them forming things that look like buildings and shit under our oceans. Well, I haven't fully tracked them yet, but it's probably worthwhile having a look at what sort of strange straight lines head to Rothschild Island in Antarctica. I wonder what sort of horrors have happened down there. We will find out, folks. We will. The love, the unity, the knowledge, the strength that we all share will get us there. Good always wins. God in heaven, our Father, protects us. Let's hope he can protect us from the dickheads on the road. Have a good night.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's ride!